The story is sort of a timeline of the past and then the present and then on to the futures.
So the most important thing about the overlook is probably two things. First, it's the first real connection to the water for North Minneapolis with a direct connection.
We kind of broke the narrative down into 4 segments. So it starts off talking about nature, and then urbanization, and then revolution and reconciliation. So those were kind of the main themes.
Seeing this story, and then through that story, like literally you can see the river.
It's really kind of a beachhead in terms of then that connection and what it'll do in terms of getting people in North Minneapolis to think that the river is also theirs.
The goal was to talk about the history and narrative of the Mississippi in Minnesota in general, but specifically here in the Twin Cities and how that actually shaped Minneapolis.
Last summer, students from Juxtaposition Arts not only traveled the river by kayak, where significant number of students never get on the water in a kayak or never been in a kayak. So they not only traveled the river by kayak as a way to learn about the river and its connection to community, and not that it's just something that you see, but that, you know, it's actually a living, breathing thing.
I'm imagining when I first am able to like take my family down to this spot and tell them that this is something that I've worked on.
And there is a railing around it, and apprentices at Juxtaposition designed this railing, which really is showcases the history of the Mississippi River.
So just kind of paying homage to the landscape. And then it's all done through silhouette, so you can't go super in detail with the holes the way they were placed. So I focused on starting with the nature aspect and then kind of getting into like the Native Americans that lived along the river and how it was a big part of the way they transported goods.
Like I saw the story happening as I was on the river, and that's how I came to the realization of why the story is important.
It's an urban insertion because we're really using the right-of-way for the existing street that was dead-ending really at the river to create a new place.
D'Angelo and Kyle really helped with those last 2 segments where you can see it changes, where you can see the hand kind of ripping from the water, which represented the man-made infrastructure coming through and taking away, or kind of taking that aspect away from it being so natural, and then you get to see the ramifications of that.
We went on a kayaking trip, which was actually my first time kayaking on the Mississippi. And I didn't really know exactly what to expect, but I think as a team, when we went onto the river, there was an overwhelming feeling about like reflectiveness.
So this whole idea of youth input and design and being able to make the connection between what the river's about and what its relationship is to the built environment, I think is really important. I hope that coming to the Overlook will be not only a physical interaction where you come, you see what it is, you see the river, but also an emotional reaction where you understand that this is someplace special that you haven't been able to access and that now you can. And so then as the opportunities continue to grow for what you can do at the Overlook, I think that'll translate then into pride for this place and the connection back to the north side that this is ours.
Going further up the river and interacting with it even closer then leads you to think critically about why it looks that way. And to me, that was the most shocking part of digging into why it looks that way and then also thinking about how it could look in the future.